Now let's talk about energy efficient lighting. Electric lighting is a major energy consumer. Enormous amount of energy saving potential is possible using efficient lighting techniques or efficient lamps. Using less electric lighting reduces heat gain, thus saving the air conditioner's energy and improving the thermal comfort. Lighting is not just a high priority when considering energy consumption. It is also a high return and low risk investment. It's a high return and low risk investment. In terms of economics also, this lighting has an important role to play. By installing new lighting technologies, we can reduce the amount of electricity consumed, and thereby the energy cost associated with the lighting can also be reduced. So what are the different energy conservation measures? These energy conservation measures may include modification or replacement of the existing lighting systems. We'll discuss 6 energy conservation measures in this lecture. The first one is the installation of compact fluorescent lamps in place of incandescent light bulbs. The second measure is installation of energy efficient fluorescent tube lights in place of a conventional tube lights. Third one is the installation of occupancy or motion sensors. The fourth one is the use of an automated device such as a key tag. And the fifth one is the replacement of exit signs with LED exit signs. And the last one is installing the lighting controls such as photo sensors or time clocks. Now let's discuss these energy conservation measures one by one. So the first energy conservation measure is installation of compact fluorescent lamps in place of an incandescent light bulbs. As you can see in the picture over here, you have to replace these incandescent light bulbs with compact fluorescent lamps. It is the first energy conservation measure. So the CFLs use about 2/3 of the energy consumed by the incandescent light bulbs, but gives the same amount of lumens output and can last 6 to 10 times longer when compared to incandescent light bulbs. So when you purchase these CFLs, you should not compare the power rating, that is watts. Watts refers to the power consumption of this device, whereas you need to look at a particular terminology called lumens output. So if you want to replace an incandescent light bulb with a compact fluorescent lamp, you should have to look at the lumens output of this lamp, not the power rating of this lamp. Because as you can see in this particular table, a 40-watt incandescent lamp will produce 450 lumens. The same lumen output is produced by a compact fluorescent lamp with 9 to 13 watts. Similarly, you can see the second example, and that is why if the incandescent bulb you wish to replace is 60 watt, this is equivalent to 800 lumens output. So to get the same amount of light in a CFL, you should look to find a CFL lamp that produces same 800 lumens of light output. So which power rating of the CFL will produce you the 800 lumens power output? You can see the second category is a 13 watt CFL bulb itself is sufficient to produce 800 lumens light output. So a 60 watt incandescent lamp will produce same amount of lumens as that of a 13 watt CFL lamp will produce. And that is the reason why, because of this drastic reduction in the power rating, the energy consumption is reduced if I go for compact fluorescent lamps. The second energy conservation measure is replacement of the conventional fluorescent lamps with energy efficient fluorescent lamps. The fluorescent tube lights which we will use in our day-to-day life has 3 different types in it: T12, T8 and T5. What is T12? What is T5 and what is T8, and how to differentiate between these 3 lamps and how they are different from one another. We will see it now. As you can see it here in the figure, T5, T8 and T12. The name of this fluorescent lamp T5, T8 and T12 comes from the size and diameter of the lamp per 1/8 inch. The names T5, T8 and T12 comes from the size of their diameter per 1/8 inch. For example, T12 means 12 by 8, which will be 1.5. So 1.5 inch diameter. T8 means 8 by 8, which means 1 inch diameter. T5 means 5 by 8, which means 0.62 or 5 by 8 inch diameter. So which is more energy efficient? T5 is more energy efficient compared to T8, and T8 is more energy efficient compared to the conventional T12. As the diameter of the fluorescent tube decreases, the energy efficiency will be improved. Now let's see the comparison of T12, T8 and T5 fluorescent tube lights. The power rating of this T12 is 40 watts, whereas the power rating of this T8 is 32 watts and the power rating of T5 is 28 watts. As the diameter decreases, the power rating decreases. As the power rating decreases, it turns out to be the most efficient light. The lumens output from this light, or you can see the lumens output from these lamps. The lumens from the T12 is 2520. The lumens from T8 is 2600. Whereas the lumens output from T5 is 2900. So let's consider an industry which has 200 bulbs. Now let us see in terms of economy as well as power consumption or the energy consumption, which light is better. Now let's consider an industry which is having 200 lamps, which has a requirement of 200 lamps. Now if I install T12, what is that going to happen? So when T12 lights are installed in that industry, now let's see the economics and the energy conservation. Say the wattage of this T12 is 40 watt, and thereby there are 200 lamps required. So 200 into 40 will be 8000 watt is the power requirement of this industry when I go for T12 lamps. So for example, an industry, so if the same industry is powered by T8 bulbs, this T8 bulbs has a power rating of only 32 watts. And thereby what is the total power input? 200 into 32, which will be 6400 watts. And if I use the T5 in that industry, then what is the power input? 200 into 28, which comes out to be 5600 watt. Now let us assume these lights which are used in the industry have to operate for 12 hours in a day, for 6 days in a week, and there are 52 weeks in a year. So altogether, what is the total number of hours these bulbs has to work in the industry? 52 weeks into 6 days into 12 hours, and which comes out to be 3744 hours. So what is the energy consumption? The energy consumption is nothing but the power multiplied by time. The power in case of T12 bulbs is 8000 watts or 8 kilowatts. So 8 kilowatts into 3744, approximately you will get 30,000 kilowatt hours. So the power consumption from this T12 fluorescent tube lights is 30,000 kilowatt hours. So from the T8 lamps, so if I use a T8 lamps in the same industry, then what is the power consumption or the energy consumption? So energy consumption is nothing but power multiplied by time. In this case, the power is 6400 watts, that is 6.4 kilowatts multiplied by 3744 hours. Then you will get approximately 24,000 kilowatt hours. So the energy consumption by using the T8 lamps is 24,000 kilowatt hours. Now when I use the T5 lamps in the industry, the power output of this T5 lamps is 5600 watts or 5.6 kilowatts. So in order to calculate the energy consumption, I need to multiply this power by time, that is 3744 hours. I'll get it around 21,000 kilowatt hours. Clearly you can observe here, if I use a T12 lamps in an industry, it consumes 30,000 kilowatt hours. If I use T8 lamps, the power consumption comes out to be only 24,000 kilowatt hours. If I use T5 lamps, the power consumption still comes down and it comes out to be 21,000 kilowatt hours. So if I assume that the cost of 1 unit of electricity, that is 1 kilowatt hour of electricity, is 5 rupees, then the cost corresponds to this 30,000 kilowatt hours of electricity is 1,50,000, whereas the cost corresponding to this T8 lamps is 1,20,000. On the other hand, the cost corresponds to this T5 lights is only 1,05,000. So when you observe there is a power as well as energy saving by about 20% if I use T8 lamps in place of a conventional T12 lamp. On the other hand, the economy as well as the energy consumption further reduced to 30%. That is, I'll have a 30% saving in terms of energy as well as the money if I use T5 lamps in place of a conventional T12 fluorescent tubes. So the conventional fluorescent tubes are not energy efficient. The T5 lamps are highly energy efficient fluorescent tubes. And on the other hand, one more thing that we need to keep in mind is the lifetime of this T12 fluorescent lamp is only 12,000 hours, whereas the lifetime of the T8 lamps are 24,000 hours. And when it comes to the T5 lamps, the lifetime is 30,000 hours. So whenever the energy efficiency reduces, the lifetime also increases. So T5 lamps are the most energy efficient lamps. So by replacing the conventional fluorescent lamps with energy efficient T5 lamps, we can get around 30% energy saving, both in terms of energy and in terms of money. And the third energy conservation measure is installation of occupancy or motion sensors. So by using these motion or light sensors, we can control the electricity usage through lighting. That is, we can turn off the light when no one is there in the particular area automatically. So there are two types of this motion or occupancy sensors. The first one is a passive infrared sensors and the second one is a ultrasonic sensors. Now let's discuss about passive infrared sensors. These passive infrared sensors, they react to changes in heat such as patterns created by the moving objects, persons. But a drawback of this passive infrared sensors is that once they are sensing, there should not be any obstacles. That is like doors, windows, curtains, all these should not be there because the infrared radiations are sensitive to these parts, and that is the reason why these passive infrared sensors are used in open areas where there is a scope of clear area which is under scanning, clear view of the area under scanning. So what happens? These passive infrared sensors will identify the heat released by the persons, and automatically, depending upon the patterns, they will switch off the lights. So once the humans are there inside a area that is being under surveillance, they produce some amount of heat because of their breathing, and that heat patterns will be sensed by these passive infrared sensors, and they will signal, and automatically they will on the lights. So once there is no patterns found in that area under the surveillance, they understand that there are no humans in this particular area under the surveillance, and they will automatically turn off the lights. And in this way, we can effectively utilize the lighting systems. And the second kind of motion sensor is a ultrasonic sensors. These ultrasonic sensors will work based upon the sound waves. So these ultrasonic sensors, once they are installed in a ceilings, generally these ultrasonic sensors are installed on the ceilings. So they liberate huge amounts of sound which a human cannot hear, and they calculate whether the humans are there, and they took a decision whether the humans are there inside a building or not by measuring the distance between the transmitted and reflected waves. If there is no patterns observed in the transmitted and reflected waves, they think that there is no humans inside the building, and automatically they will turn off the lights. On the other hand, they will observe some pattern. If they sense some change in the patterns, then they will translate that pattern into a signal to turn on the lights, as there is a movement of persons in the building. We can get an energy saving of around 60% by using these motion sensors or occupancy sensors. As per the Department of Energy USA, you can see there is a energy saving of about 25 to 50% in offices, 30 to 75% in restrooms, 30 to 40% in corridors, 45 to 65% in storage areas, heating rooms and conference rooms, 50 to 75% in warehouses by installing these occupancy sensors, either passive infrared sensors or ultrasonic sensors. Now the fourth energy conservation measure is an automated device installation which is called key tag. So what is this key tag? Generally, when you go to some 5-star hotels and when you lodge in that hotel, there is a master key. Along with the room key, they will give you a card. It will be in the form of an ATM card. And if you place this ATM card inside a key tag, then only the complete power in a room will be on. Otherwise, the power won't be on. It's similar to that of an MCB, but it's nothing but a key tag. So by using this key tag, you can reduce the power consumption. How? That is, even though you forgot to switch off the either a fan, TV or AC in a home or a room. So while you are going out, if you can close this master key by means of a key tag, then automatically the complete power to the room was closed, and thereby even though you on a TV or a fridge or a light, that will be turned off by using this key tag. But these key tags cannot be used in homes because we have 24 hours working when it comes to home for some equipment like refrigerators. These key tags are highly useful in guest houses and guest rooms where the guest can turn off the key tag. He has to place the card in the key tag in order for the room to be illuminated. On the other hand, you can take away that. The key tag system uses a master switch at the entrance of each guest room, requiring to use the room by key card to activate them. So using this technique, only occupied rooms can consume the energy because most electrical appliances are switched off when the key card is removed or when the guest leaves the room. Along with lighting, we can also connect air conditioners and other different types of energy consuming equipments with this key tag or a master switch. That is, if there is a guest room and if you want that room to be illuminated and you need to place a key master card in that key tag. So once you place that master card in the key tag only, the room gets illuminated. Once the guest leaves the room, he has to take away his master card. Then the room completely got cut off from the supply and all the lights are turned off automatically. So this master card is connected to a key of that room, and that's why you call this concept as a key tag. So once you place this master card in the key tag, then only the room gets illuminated. So on the other hand, when you are leaving the room, you can simply take this key card and you can leave, and thereby you are avoiding the unnecessary illumination in the room, and thereby you can conserve the energy from the unwanted illumination. You can also extend the service of his room tag for radio, television, refrigerator, AC, as similar to that of a lighting system in a room. The fifth energy conservation measure is to replace all the exit signs with LED exit signs. Multiple LEDs properly configured will produce equivalent lighting, but they consume very less amount of energy. As you can see, that exit signs may be either green or red color. These energy efficient LEDs will reduce the power consumption by will bring down the power consumption by about 95% when they are replaced in place of incandescent light bulbs. On the other hand, if they are replaced in place of compact fluorescent lamps, they provide you a 75% energy reduction. And the last energy conservation measure is installation of light controls. The light control monitors the daylight conditions and allow lights to operate only when needed. They help to lower the energy cost by ensuring the unnecessary lighting is not left on during the daytime hours. There are two different types of light controls used. The first one is a photo sensor and second one is a time clock. Photo sensors. The photo sensors detect the quality of the light and send a signal to the main controller for adjusting the lighting. Automatically they will adjust the lighting intensity. Unnecessary illumination can be avoided by means of these photo sensors. Photo sensors are commonly used with outdoor lighting to automatically turn lights on at dusk and off the lights at dawn. A very cost-effective control device. It's a very cost-effective control device. So this helps to lower the energy cost by ensuring that unnecessary lighting is not left on during the daytime hours. Time clocks. So what are these time clocks? Time clocks save energy by reducing the lighting time of use through proper programmed schedule. The time clock equipment ranges from simple devices designed to control a single electrical load to a sophisticated system that controls several lighting zones. So they are the simplest, least expensive and most efficient energy management devices available in the market. So these time clocks, the time controls could include simple time control, which means only one device will be activated by means of this time clock. So automatically, depending upon the schedule, you can turn on or turn off the lights. There is one more type of time control which is used in this time clock, that is multiple channel time controls. So by using this multiple channel time controls, you can control 4 to 16 duties. That is, you can control 4 to 16 lamps at a time through proper scheduling of their on and off times. So on a whole, the time clocks are very energy efficient and least expensive equipments. So what they do actually, these time clocks will have a schedule, and according to that pre-programmed schedule, they will turn on the lights and turn off the lights. Say for example, in the morning time you need lights, you don't need lights, and thereby they will automatically turn off the lights in the morning as well as in the afternoon. But in the night time, from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock till you sleep, you require lights, so they will on the lights, and after that they will off the lights. On the other hand, if I have a seminar which is taking place in between, now you take an example of an auditorium. In that auditorium there is a meeting which is happening between 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So before 10 a.m. and after 5 p.m. the lights are automatically turned off, and in between this 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. only the lights will be on. It is the purpose of a time clock.